Hello.
Yeah.
What's going on? Welcome to
Yeah.
On the Chain.
The
This is Jeff
chain.
here with co-host Chip. What is going on, Chip? What's going on? Everybody out there from the On the Chain family. Guess what? Fire Gary Gensler. That's what. Ripple XRP. Breaking news. Majority of U.S. investors agree that Gary Gensler should be fired. How do you like that? That is the poll of the day. Majority of U.S. investors agree. That's it. That's the majority. I'm sticking to it. Not going to provide the actual poll because it might not exist, but that's just a gut instinct.
There you go. Making them up, Jeff.
We're making them up as we go along. Lots of stuff to talk about. You guys are amazing out there. XRP is on its precipice of doing amazing things. We talk about the XRPL, Bitcoin, interesting stuff. It's so inadequate, Chip. So
Adequate.
inadequate.
Just like Gary, inadequate. Let's
Ready,
go,
Chip?
guys.
Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome.
Let's go, everybody. Yeah, Gary Gensler is about the most inadequate being. I don't know what you want to call him. I was going to call him a human. I don't know if that's reaching or not, Jeff, but he's just very he's very out there.
Hey, everybody, give a quick shout out to where you're tuning in from and let us know what you're drinking.
Yeah, because it'd be interesting. I'll tell you what I'm drinking, Jeff.
What are you drinking, Chip?
I'm drinking some badass Yeti Obsidian Bold right there, Jeff.
Nice.
Whole bean coffee right there. Ground up some today. It's beautifully fresh. This one is was roasted a week ago. And oh wait, today's show is brought to you by Badass Yetis. Drink Badass Yetis for the best coffee. Why? Because we roast it and ship it to you. It doesn't sit on a shelf for 6 to 8 months, a year. It's not dried out grounds or beans. We roast it. It gets shipped the very next day.
Roast it and then you drink it.
And then you drink it.
Yep. What are you guys drinking out there? What are you drinking? Where are you tuning in from? The new investors in the USA, unfortunately, because we don't have regulatory clarity for crypto.
Yeah.
So that's how it goes.
That's how it goes, Jeff.
Lots of interesting things happening out there. And so
there is. I want to start. Let's start off today with Let's start off today with Ripple. Ripple put one of those XRP minutes. Oh, I'm sorry, no, crypto in 1 minute. Remember when I used to do the XRP minute? And it was way longer than a minute. Everyone's like, dude, but it's longer than a minute. I was like, yeah, but it's short. It was like 2 minutes or 3 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, it was good.
Chip here with the XRP minute. I still want to do that throw because it was so much fun.
It was so much fun.
I wish I could still do that. It'd be still good to just post those on the channel like that, Chip with the XRP minute, and just do like one quick story.
Especially with the music in the background.
Yeah. that was the best. It's funny you still remember that. It's like a couple years ago, but man, that was a lot of fun to do. The worst part about it was, for something short, here we just go one take, right? Yep. When you record videos, I don't know what it is, Jeff. I don't know, because there's not, you don't feel like you're talking to somebody. Like here, we're talking to everybody. You can see them and they're in the chat. They're chiming in where they're from. I would screw up. I'd get like halfway through, like just maybe an introduction and screwed up, have to start over. And I don't know if you guys realize, like, and here we just do it in one shot. It's just like, there it is.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Well, when I would record the videos, I would spend probably 4 times the amount. I would prepare at least minimum an hour just on the script. Forget about the topic, but I would write out the entire script in the beginning when I would do those videos, and I would have everything written out. And then I would shorten it. Then I would cut out some of the unnecessary words, and then I would put it into like a PowerPoint type thing so I could break it down, per segment and keep a flow so I wouldn't lose my place. If it was like a Word document, your eyes are moving. And so you'd have to make sure if you're reading something, you need like a teleprompter. So I made my own teleprompter with a PowerPoint, and you have to have your eyes always looking at a certain height. So it doesn't look like you're looking down. You can't have any eye twitch movement. It was a big deal. It was, that was in the beginning. Once you get it going though, I think we're at a point now, and we can just talk about anything.
John is watching us from the beach. Which beach are you on? Are you over there in the Mediterranean somewhere? I mean, which beach? Which beach? Do we have a lot of? It's interesting. A lot of Nescafe, a lot of
Nescafe.
Nescafe.
Man, Nescafe is actually pretty good. It's probably an instant Nescafe, I would assume. Nescafe cappuccino comes in little packets. You put it in the thing, you stir it up. It's pretty good.
It's amazing.
Got Mark from Manchester. Oh, that song? What was that? Manchester, England.
Oh.
Cross.
I know a lot of amazing bands hail from Manchester. That is for sure. It's like one of the. So let's not get into that. We'll get down a rabbit hole. We're gonna get down there, but wanted to put this up here. But Ripple put this up. Pretty interesting. This is a one of those Ripple crypto in 1 minute type of deals. It's actually 1:21, Jeff. So if you want to be critical of it, it's still it's within a minute, right? Still towards a minute. But let me pump the sound up on this puppy. Let me know if you don't hear it. And hang on a second. Let's see. This is Brendon Berry. We're starting to see a lot more of him. He's head of payments and products over there at Ripple, formerly of Amazon, formerly of Slack. There you go. So yeah.
You know what? Medichew sounds like you're talking from the Titan sub. Is your main mic on? Or are you going through your headset? Yeah, it's I
was asking you that earlier before the pre-show. I was hoping.
No, all of a sudden it switched. Yeah,
I hope we could
normal before, and then it got tinny.
Let's see. No. Let's see. No, it's on the. I don't know what happened, but it's on my crisp microphone.
Is it okay?
That's what it says. I mean, I don't know why it's not coming in.
Not as tinny as it was before. It was tinny. Maybe it switched.
No, because if I switch it here, it's my.
No big dip.
That's the built-in mic, and so here, that should be better. So.
Oh yeah, much better. Oh yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Much better.
All right, so we're going to talk about this Ripple video here. We can get it in here. Let's play Brendon Berry here. Let's crypto in 1 minute. Let's listen in.
We'll see how I'm able to do it. This is going to be a stretch to get it under a minute.
Hi,
my name is Brendon Berry, and this is Crypto in a Minute. I can't promise this is going to be comprehensive, but let me start with how I think about building blocks, which is really an analog to the financial systems tech stack. And it starts with an on-ramp, connecting your physical fiat currency and bringing it into the blockchain. The next would be tokenization. What other assets, not just currency, you want to bring onto the blockchain? The third would be custody. Who's holding your funds? Are you holding your funds? Where is the technology that's actually providing that service? The next would be liquidity, conversion, and exchange. You want to be able to move your value in and out so you have flexibility. Another would be compliance services, making sure that you are maintaining KYC and AML requirements in your jurisdiction of operation. And last but certainly not least, off-ramps, connecting your digital value to the physical fiat infrastructure and domestic payment rails. Under a minute.
Wow, that was good.
That was good, but what he's not telling you is that was take 67. That's probably
take 67.
Oh, I'm gonna kill this. Take 60. Take 67. So, but one of the last things he mentioned there.
Mike's hanging out in Sarasota.
Nice,
How
Mike.
cool was that? Offshore racing pits. Nice.
That's good. So that's boat racing. I'm taking it. Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah, very good, man. Very, very cool. Let me. There we go. Let's do this. And okay, I had to get rid of that puppy there. But one of the things he brings up there that I think is everyone's get. Well, I'll tell you. You want to talk about KYC? I mean, see, I got one story here. Here it is, right here. Here it is. Speaking of that, who just said that? That was Jared, right? Yeah, Jared.
Yep.
So Crypto Eddie put this up. I just saw this in passing this morning, but you talk about it's just getting so rough out there. It's not even like they're trying to hide it. You know, sometimes they try to hide it. We really want crypto legislation, Jeff, and we're doing everything we can. Remember when Maxine Waters and she would come out once in a while and show up at a hearing and blow kisses to Sam Bankman-Fried. That was about the extent of her involvement. But look at this. bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? That's how it starts off this tweet with a little song and everything. What you gonna do when they come for you? That's the Bad Boy lyrics. Remember Bad Boys was on TV until 2 or 3 years ago when all of a sudden we had this cancel culture and it was bad to have that on TV anymore, and they canceled they canceled that and a lot of PD.
Cops is back. Isn't Cops back?
I think it's back on another network. Yeah. So listen to this. So Kraken was ordered to turn over account information to the IRS, Internal Revenue Service today, which was yesterday, I believe. Transactions exceeding $20,000 in a calendar year. Names, birth dates, taxpayer IDs, addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, and various other documents. And there it is right there. There's the look at this, Jeff. What do you think about this?
I think we're entering into a period of time where, with the lack of regulatory clarity, the lack of clear, concise leadership at the highest levels of government, the unelected bureaucrats are running completely amok. I'm not saying that, if there's going to be some sort of regulation to where if there's a banking jurisdiction where banks need to provide that kind of detailed information to the government, then let an exchange provide the same amount of information that a bank is required to provide, because we're getting to that point where we're blurring the lines between banking and the digital asset exchanges. But then that would also hold true to, let's say a Fidelity or somewhere where you're investing and putting your securities, your stock investments, your mutual fund investments, your money market accounts. So if they have the same level of requirement to turn over all of that information, then say, hey, then that's the cost of doing business. But if they are not supposed to hand over that type of information, then that's a complete overreach, and it also kind of obscures the line of individual privacy of where you're holding your money. Now, if the exchanges are doing KYC, the exchanges are doing AML, why is it that there's this overreach right now, to where there's more there's more of an onus that's going to be placed on these digital asset exchanges? The exchange provides provides tax documentation at the end of the year. It's up to each individual person to report gains and losses. If you're moving money, there's definitely an issue. If you're moving $10,000 or more, it does get flagged. Even if you're moving it, bank to bank, all that stuff, Chip, right? All the regulatory issues with moving big amounts of money.
You said $9,999, and I think you're good. But yeah, anything over 10,000, any deposits over $10,000 are always flagged. So it's interesting how that.
I'm just saying that your microphone is distorting. I don't hear the full distortion of it.
Let me go back and come back. There's something really wrong.
Could also be maybe you need to turn the mic down a tad. I don't know.
I never touched the control on the mic.
Oh, could be crisp. Could be the platform.
You know what it is, man. It's like it's annoying the hell out of me right now. But nothing different.
I hear it.
You hear the distortion?
Every so often it cuts out, but I think that's the platform, because I don't think there's anything different. There he goes. We kicked him out. Now we take over. There we go. It's perfect. So let me go to some of the commentary here. Let's see. We've got Jim early adopters. We're going to be harassed nonstop. They're going to try to force us to register as much digital asset as we hold, and they want to have complete hold over and control over the ledger. We think about from a DeFi perspective, the powers that be definitely see decentralized financial infrastructure as a direct threat to their power hold. And they realize that if we're allowed as individuals to hold our money where we want, to invest without significant third-party involvement, with all the little fingers in the cookie jar taking little bits of your money out. They lose that,
Jeff.
they lose that stranglehold, over everything that we're doing. Things need to advance, things need to progress, as long as the laws are being adhered to. AML, KYC. If there's requirement to where a transaction of over X amount of money has to be reported or gets flagged, then it's not going to be any different with a digital asset exchange. I don't, especially if it's home office, if it's physical office is within the jurisdiction of the U.S. Right? I mean,
I think so. Is this any better, the microphone, or no?
Yeah, much better. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Some weird thing. I think it's.
I think get caught up somewhere in the system.
I think it might be StreamYard, but yeah, it's a little bit. I don't know. It's always anyway. Let me know if it goes out again. I could always switch to a worse mic, which is my onboard mic, which we can do. We can always make it worse for you, but if static and it's uncomfortable to listen to, that's another issue.
Yep.
So Paul Grewal, he's the chief counsel for Coinbase, put this out. This was the other day. Coinbase filed their answer, noticed intent to file a motion to dismiss the SEC case against us. You can read a response for yourself. Our arguments speak for themselves. He went on to say that we welcome dialogue anytime with any regulator, including the SEC, and I believe new legislation and rulemaking is the right path forward. But the claims in this case go far beyond existing law and should be dismissed. And right there is that's right there. And this is really amazing because he says it should go, the case goes on beyond existing law. That's a reach, right? Reaching, making stuff mean something that doesn't mean anything. And then Jeremy Hogan followed it up with this. Coinbase filed its 177-page response. What's that, Jeff?
No, I was going to say exactly. Above and beyond the law.
Yeah, and this is kind of what this reaching, right, Jeff? So let's talk about where are they going wrong with this massive attack on all these organizations?
But they're doing it on purpose, right? Because they're trying to establish some sort of a precedent, even if it goes beyond the reach of the law, right? We're starting to see things get reversed. Look at what happened with the whole student loan thing. It has to go to the Supreme Court. Again, we have an out of control administration and an out of control group of unelected bureaucrats that don't give a shit about your individual liberties or your individual rights. Therefore, they will do whatever they please, and they'll try to create law, which then gets unwound because it goes to the Supreme Court or it goes to higher court. And this is how they have decided to lead. They want to lead through enforcement. So it's not unique that Gary Gensler has this attitude because it's systemic. It's a systemic cancer that impacts all aspects. There's tentacles reaching out everywhere. So regardless of how you feel from a political perspective, you have to acknowledge the reality that has presented itself. So now that we're faced with that, and we've seen that even in the predecessor that ran that was in office for 8 years, we saw the exact type of behavior, the exact same behavior where you saw many of the policies ended up in court and get unwound and get reversed because they're overreaching. They're stepping on your individual liberties. They're stepping on the Constitution. Boom! And when you regulate or when you rule that way, you're put in that position temporarily because it's the will of the people. You're there to represent the people, not your self-interest. But now we have a bunch of people that are there that are strictly representing their self-interest, whatever that interest might be. It might be like the current resident is there to enrich himself. Others are there strictly for the power. Some have come in already enriched and they just want power. Others are actually coming to Washington because they actually come out of passion and they actually want to support the people. But it's those individuals that typically get removed from office. They get, the powers that be do everything they can to unseat them from power. And we've seen that multiple times over. I think it's really It's destructive behavior, and especially, Chip, since we're starting, we're seeing it directly impacting everybody out there in the crypto space in the United States. It's a direct impact. This overreach, this destruction. And so even in the case that, we're just reviewing, that Hogan has commented in the Ripple case, in the Coinbase case, in the library case, we're seeing the unelected bureaucrat, or the government in this case, reaching beyond its authority in order to establish some sort of a precedent, and hope that they can get away with it for as long as they possibly can before it ends up into a higher court, which they know could take years. And then it goes beyond the current administration. It goes beyond the current unelected bureaucrats' reign of authority, and it goes to somebody else, but it's there for that period of time. So they gain their benefit of whatever that might be, whatever direction they're planning on going in. And
yeah,
that whole thing, it has to change. People have to say enough's enough, or Chip, last thought, it's all going offshore.
It's all going offshore anyway. I mean, regardless of that. But I think we have to get back to the Constitution. Listen, the forming and framing of the country. What the framers never envisioned a large, massive bureaucracy that's out of control. Reagan came into office. One of the good things he did was like, we're going to cut the government by 25% and try to cut it by 50%. And then when he left office, it was bigger than when he got in there. So it's this behemoth of a beast that you don't need this. And you know who proved that? Do you know who proved that you don't need it? A man called Elon Musk. He went into Twitter. They had 4, 5, 6, 10,000 people working there, and he deleted 80% of the people. And he was asked in an interview, Tucker Carlson asked him, said like, well, how are you still running Twitter? You got rid of 80% of the personnel. And he said, pretty simple. He goes, turns out that when you're not running a censorship sort of a organization, and you're not an activist organization, you don't need them. So 20%, and even since then, less people, nothing happened to Twitter. Everything was fine. Everyone's like, Twitter's going to fail, everything. Well, you could get rid of 80% of the government and nobody would notice. Not only would they not notice yet, but they wouldn't give a rat's behind. They would not care in the least. You got to start, the only way to do it is to start trimming these back. All of these things, everything has good intentions. Politicians have great intentions. They go to Washington, they come in fighting. We're fighting a little guy and everything. They get walked behind the woodshed and they get read the riot act and like, sit down. This is how it works. Wait your turn. If you speak out of turn, you'll be primary. We'll get rid of you. So either you step in line, you make a lot of noise, or the party will get rid of you. And we think about crypto, this is the towing the line, because you've got Robert F. Kennedy Jr. out there, who is really on the Democrat side, angering a lot of people because he's talking about freedom and Bitcoin. Of course, he's towing the line when it came to all the regular talking points, but let's just forget that for a second. But it's not popular because he's against the party line. The party line is crypto bad. Banks good, crypto bad. And he is switching up that narrative. It's also the narrative about this, he's doing that whole thing. And people don't like that either. So you can see how just one person who toes the line 90% but speaks out of turn just that little bit, they're writing negative articles about him. He's going to be a disaster. I mean, not too dissimilar than Orange Man Bad that they came after, but they're almost coming after him because he wants people to be free. He wants to have the freedom. He wants to control, who comes into the country. Listen, the only definition of a country is language, culture, borders. That's pretty much it. Otherwise you become something you're not. And you can see this happening all across Europe. But when we think about the KYC stuff, Europe, and you look at Singapore, you look at different parts of the world, over there in Japan, they've been really big on this, on coming together and just letting it run, right? Kind of like how the early internet went. And we think about looking at this here. Hang on a second. Let me put this back up. Jeff. Jeremy Hogan says that he weighed on this as well. Coinbase filed its 177-page response to the SEC lawsuit. And he said, what jumped out to me is how Coinbase uses information and experience from the Ripple case, See the Hinman email reference below, and also throws in some new stuff, the major questions doctrine, which we've talked about, which the major questions doctrine is all about this whole idea of where can you draw the line, right? Where can you expand on, and where this is the whole trying to like put down the words, but and he says very nicey. I think he meant very nicey, which is a good thing, but he talks about it here. Let me put this here. There it is. Color digital assets, Americans, presumable Congress intends major policy decisions itself not to leave those decisions to agencies, which goes, kind of like butts head against that major questions doctrine, and I think that will be overarching, and probably it's going to be a big decider in a lot of these cases, which we saw this past week. The SCOTUS Supreme Court of the United States came out with some rulings, Jeff, and people were mad because, let's not get into that. It's a whole big thing. But anyway, the Chair Gensler's May 2021 testimony reflected, let's see, Coinbase purchaser. Anyway, this is too much to read, Jeff. I mean,
it's a lot.
Lost in, it's just too much. I don't even want to. I hate these legal documents.
Yeah,
these legal documents are nasty.
Then they kind of change the. So there is a. Ray is still saying the microphone still seems a little echo.
That's great, Ray. Yeah, tell me how to do that, Ray. Yeah, I think the best way to do that is just bail today, and we'll figure out another day. Because honestly, I'm fed up with it. To be honest,
it's not so bad on my end, but it's a.
I don't know.
It's a little skinny, but I'm sure we've been having. I think StreamYard is going through some issues, so just bear with it because there's nothing we can do with it. Yeah, they're having some. Sure, it's.
Let me pull it up here. Let me pull it up on YouTube here. Let's see if I can hear what's going on here.
It's not horrible. It just sounds a little tinny. It's not bad.
Well, it's Miguel, not anything I'm doing. So
no, Miguel is saying, fire Gary bill is a waste of time. It will never get passed in the Senate, and it will definitely not get signed by the president. It's just grandstanding. It's all a show. But the thing is, even though it might be a waste in terms of actually getting passed, it's critical because of the premise, and it shows the direction. So if we can get passed through Congress, then it's just a matter of time. And it's not just about getting rid of Gary Gensler. It's about restructuring the SEC. What it also does, it puts a very clear divide as far as where on this dotted line each of the party groups fall. So if one group is falling on the side of we need to restructure the SEC because of the significant overreach of the SEC, then it's very clear to the voter base. Then you have the other side that wants to maintain the status quo. And I think this is going to be a really difficult conversation when it gets pushed up to the Senate. They're either going to have to toe the party line and vote on party line, meaning the blue team, or they're going to have to take a realistic a view of what's going on within the SEC. And the restructuring isn't just about Gary Gensler. It's about the chair position not being the ultimate ruler of the committee, but being a representative of the committee and answering back to the committee. And it's empowering the council versus the head of the council. And I think that's a very, very critical move, and it's going to have positive repercussion across the board in the financial space. And I believe that there's got to be numbers on both sides of the aisle that are going to want to restructure the SEC in that way. It's not, so it's very, very important. And then it falls down to who the commission is. And again, the commission doing what is right on behalf of the public, and not just one individual who is beholden to the powers that be that put him there. So he's put there, and I think we need more of a balance. And hopefully both sides will see that. I don't know that they will, but I think that's going to be really critical. What says you, Chip?
I'm going to check my microphone here because I'm having all kinds of fails. All of a sudden, Jeff, my ear pods not working.
But your mic is good right now. Don't worry about it. I can hear you.
crystal
mic
clear.
is good. Your mic is good.
Okay, I've just decided that it's crystal clear, so I don't know what you're hearing on your side, but it sounds to me like you might have some system fail because everything sounds fine to me.
No, it
And then
sounds
I hear
good right
you-
now. Yeah,
And then
it's
I hear you
crazy.
saying, Mike is good, Mike is good, Mike is good. And I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? Anyway.
Microphone check. Miguel, why not just
Yeah.
remove SEC funding related to crypto? The one thing the House can do, they won't do. And
They
there's a
can't do
good
that.
question too. So
They
they don't
cannot do
have
that.
they don't have funding over that. They have funding, they can control funding at large. But I think that overall, we have an issue within Congress too. There's a power struggle. Each one is there's a power struggle across the board. Think about within Congress, within the House, anyways. Every 2 years they have to get reelected, so it is a big deal. They just have to start doing what's right for the people, and that's the differentiator. But that's all over the world. You want your elected officials to do what's right. Parliamentary system is drastically different than our system over here, and you can see the outcome as well between the two. So
You
it's
can do. Yeah. But I wanted
that's all I have to say
to,
on that.
yeah, well, that's good stuff. So I wanted to just kind of review the major questions doctrine. So the principle of statutory interpretation in the U.S. administrative law, which states that courts will presume that Congress does not delegate executive agencies issues of major or political of economic significance. In this case, we think about economic significance when it directly affects the infrastructure of the U.S., like what we have with crypto, having all of these organizations moving offshore. And so this is what it comes down to, is like these hotbeds of like whether it's a real heavy political thing. In this case, it's an economic one. And it's a seminal statement of a major questions doctrine comes from the FDA versus Brown and Williamson's Tobacco Corporation in 2000. You must be guided to a degree by common sense by the manner in which Congress is likely to delegate a policy decision of such economic and political magnitude to an administrative agency. We also saw this come down in the EPA, this West Virginia versus EPA, where in that particular one, the EPA was starting to mandate laws or enforce rule sets. They were coming out with new rule sets that they don't have the authority to do. So they were inventing stuff that Congress never gave them the authority to. And that was struck down about a little over a year ago. I think it was last July. And so the reason I'm bringing up this whole major questions doctrine is because John Deaton, the man, the myth, the hero, chimed in on this. And he said that he believes Coinbase motion to dismiss based on the major questions doctrine has real teeth. I'm not saying that it'll be granted for sure, but I'm just saying it's not your garden variety motion to dismiss where denial can easily be predicted. The motion has teeth because of the following. He gets into a couple things here, Jeff. First of all, Congress is initiating legislation demonstrating its intent to legislate this major questions issue. Number two, the Hinman emails discuss the regulatory gap and a greater confusion to the market. Number three, Gensler's original acknowledgement that there is no existing regulatory framework for digital assets. Number four, the fact that there isn't a single case in history, Jeff, that has found a secondary sale of an investment contract to also be an investment contract. In fact, the one case that is involved in secondary sale found that it wasn't. So they're going way, way, way outside and reaching. Number five, there isn't a single case in history where the courts have found an investment contract when there exists no privity between the issuer/promoter and the buyer. And number six, the Supreme Court's decision in West Virginia versus EPA, which I just brought up. It also depends on the predisposition of the district court judge, Catherine Polk Fela. All I know is about Judge Fela is that she was appointed by President Obama from reading what Meta Law put up a thread several weeks ago. And of course, Meta Law is what is he going by? I don't know. It's Vanderbilt Law is a pretty good attorney, puts good stuff out there. He said that alone gives us no insight on how she will rule, but I do see an interlocutory appeal coming in the near future. Jeff, what are your thoughts about John Deaton weighing in here?
And well, I think that, overall, again, goes back to complete overreach on all sides. There's got to be an appeal, process going through this as well. And I'm looking at some of the other things that John Deaton has been commenting on, and really from the point that you brought up in the beginning, which was the news, the article here. SEC says that spot Bitcoin ETF filings are inadequate, and looking at just the entire, just everything that's happening right now, everything in its entirety. You can't look at any one little thing. It just seems that across the board, there is an agenda, and it doesn't matter what is being done. It doesn't matter how it's being done. The pockets of the government are extremely deep, which is why they're able to go after company after company after company with these lawsuits. Look how many lawsuits have been stacking up. It's amazing to me what's going on right now. And soon with the Bitcoin ETF filings, what's the next? So you have Grayscale lawsuits going on. You have, you still have the library lawsuit. You have the Ripple lawsuit. Now you have the Kraken. There's going to be a lawsuit there. You have Coinbase. These things are stacking up back to back. How many hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayer money is currently being spent by this SEC for what outcome? For what purpose? Do they even have the authority to do it? So if all of this is going to be undone at a higher court, and they're going to end up finding that the SEC didn't even have jurisdiction to begin with because Gary's a nut job, and this is this is really the crux of the issue, is that it will be undone. And we need, in order to put an end to this, and this is where I think Congress is really failing us at this point. Congress has picked up since how many months now? Since the new Congress has been in session, and we have nothing. We have no legislation passed through the House. I mean, you would have thought, they would have had the bills prepared already. Just present the Token Taxonomy Act. I don't care about anything else. Just put that in front of Congress. If that had true legs, put it in front of the Financial Services Committee, get it passed from the Financial Services Committee, send it on to the Senate. Have a damn talking point to say, look, the House has done its job. Where is the Senate in this? Nothing. We don't even have that. And we're talking about years in the making of all this legislation that could have been stacked up. And maybe it's not a priority for them, but it really should be. It's a Financial Services Committee. At least get it through Financial Services Committee. They're voting on all sorts of other garbage. They're doing all sorts of other things. They have 2 years to get all this stuff accomplished. What are they going to wait till the end of the 2 years? This is a critical piece of legislation. I know we got a lot of nut jobs out there. You've got Janet Yellen, you got Elizabeth Warren, you've got Gary Gensler, you've got Maxine Waters, you got all these crazies out there that are going to serve as a block. You've got the Shermanator. You've got so many anti-crypto that have done their job over the past couple of years of crushing the crypto space and holding it back to the point of where we are today, where they're chasing everything offshore and emboldening Gary Gensler to do what he's doing. He's emboldened right now because he knows that the Congress is neutered. And this is what Gary, and we have to go back when Gary first took over. He was 100% accurate because he came in and said, hey, if Congress wants regulation, then pass a bill. He said that. He said in the beginning, but in the absence of the bill, you can't also have anarchy. And so Gary Gensler stepped in and said, hey, in the presence of anarchy in this space, Gary Gensler, decided to step in and do it through his enforcement actions, through lawsuits to get regulation. So, he said, hey, you can do it or I can do it. But Gary Gensler can't write law. The only thing Gary Gensler can do, and to be fair with how the SEC is treating this, the only thing he can do is bring enforcement action. He can only bring lawsuit. He can only say, hey, here's my policy. I need you to come in, and whether he makes it easy or difficult, it doesn't matter. But he can say, hey, you need to come in to the SEC and we need to review your stuff. You need to follow blah, 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 whatever his craziness is. Here's what you have to do. Whether it's impossible or not impossible, he says this. And if they don't do it, his only possibility is a lawsuit. So Gary Gensler is doing the only thing he can do. And then it falls back on Congress to say, hey, Gary, you're overreaching. This is nonsense. We're going to pass the legislation. But because of the rhinos and the neutered congressional representatives, we get nothing. And it's getting super frustrating to this point that we're 6 months in to this new congressional session, and we get nothing out of them. We get a lot of hot air. We get lip service. We see some bills that have been presented that are sitting on the floor. Put 20 bills, sign the damn things, put them through Financial Services Committee, break them down into bring it down to like a 5th grade level so everybody in Congress can understand it, and then pass that damn thing. And that's it. Man, it's crazy.
Boom! Boom!
Yeah, boom, baby. Jeff, that's really well stated. And I gotta tell you, one of the biggest asshats, you can give a lot of criticism to Gary Gensler. I mean, we can go back and forth with him, but Jay Clayton really is a complete moron. This guy is really one of the dumbest humans on earth. I mean, honestly, his statements, and you got to watch this video, Jeff. And the other thing too is like, I don't know if you should say that because I mean, I don't want to attack somebody personally, but honestly, man, you got to get a better hairpiece, man. It's not working for you, man. It's just, I don't know. It's just, would you wear a hairpiece like that, Jeff? Would you ever entertain wearing one of those? Out of curiosity, would you? It'd be fun just to show up one day just with one of these sort of hair pieces on there, just
I should do it.
You got to do it to be fun. Maybe we'll reverse. I'll put a skin cap over there and I'll do the show as you and you can do the show as me, right? I mean, it'd be kind of fun to do. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Oscar that one time that flipped us around. He made me bald and put
that was very funny.
That was a good one. But no, they are. Of course they are. But it's but again, and meanwhile, the one person that's wanting to take it all out, both parties are after him, right? Guys running for re-election, Orange Man bad. All of a sudden, you know what? When you're coming for them all and saying you're going to delete it, yeah, okay, breaking it all up, and you saw that as soon as he left office, boy, they turned on him faster than you could like close the doors, like bam, just like that. But just listen to this guy. And what an absolute, complete, just idiotic. This guy, and this is the guy right here. You can hate on Gary Gensler all you want. He got in there, and these two met before he left, the day before he left office, and dropped this lawsuit. But listen to this. Let's listen to it.
Let's take this to a.
Can you hear that, Jeff?
Yeah.
A very high level on the regulatory side. What you're hearing.
Yeah, because it's playing through my speakers, and I don't know what's going on with StreamYard, but I'm annoyed today. Like for some reason it's playing through my speaker. I don't know why it's playing through my speaker. I have no clue. Can you put this?
Shit. I almost knocked my coffee over.
Hey, can you play this clip? It's in the key. You'll have to play the. Yeah, you'll have to play this. I'll drop it in the. Hang on a second. I will drop it in the chat here, private chat. Just click on that link, dude, and you got it. Something's all messed up. You come in here, same settings. StreamYard are all screwed up again.
I lost track of which one you were at. Oh,
I just dropped it in the private chat.
Drop it like it's hot.
Dropped it in there. We play that. Share the screen, play that sucker. But he goes on to say that if we're not losing cases, we're not suing enough businesses.
It might not be loud.
That's just. What's that?
Might not be loud. Let me see if I can download it.
Yeah, see if you can download it. It's not right to be paying all this money for this platform and having this massive technology fail. For some reason, it's playing through my speakers. This happened yesterday. I did an update with Zoom, hosed every one of my settings, destroyed everything in there. It's from a business. It's like, why are you deleting all my stuff? Like, what is going on there? All my stuff is being deleted out of there. And like on the settings area, I can't even, all of a sudden it started playing through. Let me see if I can.
Oh, there we go. Nice. Much better.
Yeah.
Come on, Jake.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is here.
Hang on. Here we go.
Now you're not coming through my speakers.
I'm not?
My
Where am I
headset.
coming? On the headset?
No, I'm talking about on my side. It's like everything's screwed up, man. I don't understand what the issue is, but
Share away.
Technical
You see it?
These guys. Yep. See it.
You see it?
Yep.
Tell me if you can hear it. Can you hear it?
Let's take this to a, a
Yeah.
very high
Slow
level.
though. Can you turn it up?
No, that's as loud as I can get it.
That was louder on my side. I don't know what happened. Let's just start. Let's suffer through this. Everything's
Let's see. Here we go. Let's see if you can hear it. Ready?
Let's take this
Yeah.
to a very high level on the regulatory side. What you're hearing from the leaders of the regulatory organizations is if we're not losing cases, if we're not being pushed back on by the courts, we're not doing enough. Think about that for a second. That is a fundamental shift in how we as Americans view the role of the government. I don't want to be in a place where I know the government is going to bring cases they think they're going to lose. Imagine you're the person who is the subject of that case.
Just
now we're
to see
talking
if
about
they-
corporations,
Yeah, to
but
see if they can, and if they're not stopped, they're gonna, yeah.
right. But this is an ethos now, which is unless we're losing, we're not bringing enough cases. That may be fine for private litigants against each other and think that. But when you have the power of the state, and you're supposed to only.
You can stop it there, Jeff. I mean, it's really difficult to hear, but what he's getting at, he's criticizing Gary Gensler. Gensler's statement of we're not losing enough cases, we're not bringing enough lawsuits.
Right.
Dude, you're
Yeah.
the one that kicked off this whole thing with dropping the lawsuit. Like, it's the kettle calling the pot black, Jeff. It's this whole thing of like, look what you're doing. And when you point to somebody else, you got basically 3 fingers pointing back at yourself.
Yeah, but this is what's so crazy. And I said this right from day one, is that why did he bring this lawsuit when he brought it the day before he left? Right? It creates a very strange kind of cinematic, for the next guy taking over, right? He's like, here's a major lawsuit bomb. I'm going to drop it in your lap. I'm gone. Why did he do it? Even though he opened up the case, did he really care? Because we know that these unelected bureaucrats that are sitting in Washington, they could really care less about anybody else. They don't care about the people. They don't really care about most corporations unless it's the lobbyists that are paying their bill and supporting their whatever. And from an unelected bureaucrat perspective, it could really be about the next company they go work for, or the previous company they work for. But why did he drop the lawsuit? Has anybody even answered that question? I mean, is it even a possible, question to answer? Why did he do it? When he did it? What was the motivation behind it? Was it a direct attack at Ripple? Was it a direct attack on the industry? Or was it a way to try to force the outcome to actually get some sort of regulatory clarity? What was it? And did the Ripple team at that point, they knew it was coming. It wasn't just sudden, it's not all of a sudden there's a lawsuit sitting on their doorstep. They must have known that it was coming. It happened. I think the anticipation was it was definitely bad optics for the next guy taking over. But did they anticipate that it would go on this long? Did they think, and that's so to me, that's still the unanswered question. Was this done from a perspective to try to achieve regulatory clarity for the space in the presence of a neutered Congress, knowing how incompetent the congressional representatives are, and especially during his period when he left? Think about who was in charge when he left of the Financial Services Committee. It was Maxine Waters. So he's like, here you go. Thank you very much. I'm out.
Yeah.
What are your
ridiculous. My thought is this, Jeff, is I got to bail pretty soon. So I'm going to get to the sponsor of today's show, which is Badass Yetis Coffee. Obviously, this is a brand that Jeff and I rolled out to go along with our Badass Yetis NFTs, but we're building this brand, Badass Yetis. We built in some utility as well, which if you own one Badass Yeti, you get a discount. If you own 3 or more, you get a bigger discount. If you own 6 or more, which a lot of you do, thank you very much. And also, too, we're going to be rolling something else out as well. We'll talk about that more tomorrow night. But we're building some other utility to the actual Badass Yetis, and that's a pretty exciting one. We're going to put that one up tomorrow, and we'll announce it officially here. But if you're wondering if it's any good, no, it's effing great. This coffee, it's phenomenal. Why, Jeff? Because we roast it to order. Your order comes in. It's basically roasted, It's packaged up and shipped the very next day. We've heard some really good reviews. I know a lot of my friends have gotten the coffee, and they're like, "Wow, you weren't kidding. This is really good coffee." I just dropped it in there, but it's a badass Yetis coffee. Just drop the link in there, guys. Go out there, and if you want to support the show, if you like coming in here, you like this, come on out there and support it. You can. There's 4 different brands to or styles to choose from. There's our some shots from our production right there, but it is roast to order, and we do ship it out right away. And there are the coffees right there, Jeff.
Nice.
So yeah,
Badass Yetis coffee.
And soon we'll have K-Cups, guys. Very soon we're going to be having K-Cups. Same thing. They're not sitting on a shelf for 6 to 12 months. If you've never had roast to order, you're missing out. And there is a premium price for it. Why? Because we are roasting it on order. If you roast up a bunch of stuff and you stick it on a shelf for 6 to 12 months, it's a lot cheaper because you can do a giant batches of it and just stick it in bags and let it just accumulate. Everything you buy in the store has been sitting there from 6 to 12 months, maybe 3 to 6 if you're lucky, but the beans are dried out, the grounds get dried out. They go, but it's vacuum packed. There's a difference. So check it out, guys.
Check it out. Go to BadassYetisCoffee.com. Check that out. And we'll be with you guys tomorrow night. A lot of great stuff to cover yet. We had a good time tonight covering a lot of great topic. Hey, if there's anything that you guys want to discuss specifically, send us a tweet, send a DM, let us know exactly what you want to discuss. If there's anything specific you see out there, any news that catches your attention, shoot it over to us and we'll cover it tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For all those that are new here, then make sure you hit the like, subscribe, bell, all that good stuff. But most importantly, Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's what we got. You guys are amazing, and we can check you guys out
on the next one.
On the next one tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bring a badass Yetis coffee with you.
A lot of people are on Twitter. You can tweet like, "Hey, you see a cool story?" You just attach Jeff's Twitter and my handle, or on the chain. But the other way to get to us, let's say you got something longer you want to tell us, and you don't want to put it on a public tweet, you can click the contact button, go to onthechain.io, and then there's a little form here, and then that goes directly to us. So that's another way to reach out, and you can write a message. We don't sell stuff. We don't. But I would encourage everybody, if you can, I'm going to drop this link in there right now. But when we wrap the show, we'll do a show summary. We send you an email right when the show wraps. Not today because Jeff and I both are out, but we also upload the podcast. But you will be able to get an email that will have the summary of the show and all the links we talk about. Maybe you wanted to show somebody like, "Hey, that was cool. That clip you showed," or "I want to retweet that." All of those go out to you. We don't sell your names, but we're trying to grow that list. So if you can, you go to onthechain.io, you go down, scroll down right down there, and it's join the OTC family, your email and your full name. And that's all we have, guys. We are out of here. We'll see you tomorrow night, which is the next one, Jeff. In fact, see you guys on the next one. Chip and Jeff.
Night, right?
Yeah, that's what I said, right?
Tomorrow night.
I said tomorrow night is the next one. So see you on the next one. See you guys. Bye.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.